Today I'd like to talk to you about Duan Yong Ping, a Chinese value investor that doesn't get as much love in the States than he does in China. Now, some background about him. He's actually an entrepreneur that is famous for building up the predecessor to Vivo and Oppo. He's known as the godfather of smartphones. And the reason why he's the predecessor is that he decided to leave his company to his key lieutenants and retire because of love. He met his wife, and the joke was he told his wife that once his immigration papers to the United States will be finalized, he will leave China to go be with her. So at that time, he said he didn't expect it to be so fast, but a promise is a promise, and he decided to break up his company into multiple parts. Two of the most well-known overseas is Oppo and Vivo. And he's also later on a mentor to Colin Huang, who's the founder of PDD. All right, so I won't go too much into his history, but what's interesting about him is, unlike other value investors, he's actually quite active online, and he actually shares his knowledge, what he's doing on a trade-by-trade basis to the public, as well as answer questions that people may have. His direct, brash response is not without controversy. And so he's somewhat a controversial figure a little bit, but I think overall his track record speaks for itself. He basically, that we know of, have two investment vehicles, one in Asia and one in the United States. In the United States is under H&H, where the majority of his portfolio actually is concentrated on Apple. He actually started purchasing in 2011. And the stories that he has told us regarding Apple is that he's the one credited by Buffett to give Buffett a conviction to purchase more of Apple. And the story was actually quite simple. It was over a meal where Buffett was sharing that he used to drink Pepsi when he was a child because Pepsi was 50% cheaper than Coke. It's a comment that Ping made that said that for Apple, people won't switch because it's cheaper. If they're cheaper Android phones, people actually stay in the Apple ecosystem. And that comment sums up why Apple is a great business and why Buffett decided to build up his stake considerably later on. All right, so that's kind of an overall basis of who he is. He has some other track records that he's doing really well in. For example, he bought Moutai, which is a name that I think Prebrise said Li Lu was talking to him about. I'm guessing they all got it from him. And he has been holding it for, I think, over a decade now, which is when he had made lots of money. The other key one that he talks about a lot is actually Tencent, where he actually has been progressively adding more to his position. Now, we don't know what the size of his positions are because they're not readily available, unlike the US funds where he actually has to disclose a 13F. So enough about him. I think if you want to know why he's a great value investor, use any AI agent you want or any AI to kind of get a quick snapshot of his background. I post some videos of him doing interviews. The most recent one is actually from Zhejiang University earlier this year. So you can listen to him talk, his stories and whatnot. So what I'd like to talk about is kind of just a compilation of what he has talked about in the past. And some of these names are actually names that we are actually quite invested in. And a lot of investors are in it. So let's kind of just see what his perspectives are. So the first one that he talks about a lot in the past is actually Alibaba. So his flirtation with Alibaba actually started at Yahoo. He bought Yahoo for the purpose of buying into Alibaba because he was an admirer of Jack Ma. and he felt that the culture at Alibaba, as well as what it's doing, is actually a win-win for society as well as for all stakeholder support. So he started, he bought that, and then he actually ended up buying more, also during the IPO as well, but later sold his positions because he felt that the exclusive agreements with merchants and kind of like the choosing which one to work with and stuff like that, is that goes against the principles that he believes in. And he also felt that when Jack Ma left, the company lost its way. So if we track his selling records, it actually ends up being when Jack Ma left, he's when he actually ended up selling out of his position in Alibaba. And he talks a lot about the culture at Alibaba. So what's interesting about Alibaba as well is he sold that before, and now with the return of Joe Tsai and Eddie, and of course Jack, he actually has been ramping up almost to the dot in terms of when he started acquiring the positions back into his portfolio. My guess is that these positions were built based on put options, a common thing that he likes to do to kind of buy things at a cheaper price. So my guess is that this is his way of endorsing Alibaba a little bit now that Jack Ma and the team that kind of brought Alibaba to its peak is back. Now, another one is actually Pinduoduo, or PDD, and he actually says quite a lot about PDD, but also nothing at all. His main essence is that he doesn't really understand the business of PDD at all, which is weird given he's a value investor. But he knows Colin. It's actually funny because Colin was one of the guests that he brought to the famous lunch that he bought with Warren Buffett, I think over a decade, or maybe 2 decades ago now. And the funny thing was, Colin didn't even know that he was meeting the great Warren Buffett until he was actually there and meeting the great Warren Buffett. But I sidetrack. So it seems that his relationship with Colin made him decide to bet on Colin. So kind of bet on the jockey and not the horse. And he really believed that what they're doing is remarkable. He's still amazed at what they've been able to do, but he's not really truly been able to understand it, despite being so close to Colin himself. Now, the third name that he mentioned is actually Tencent. He talks a lot about Tencent as well. He felt that Tencent at the 300s, I think almost $400 range, was a no-brainer. He felt that he was happily selling put options to acquire more, and he felt that is a much more mature business, and that going forward, given the strength in China and a lot of different pieces, he felt that this is a good investment in the long run. Now, this is also an investment that he had gotten some backlash over when Tencent dropped from 700 down to 500 down to 200. He was actually calling people to start buying to buy more of Tencent stock. So some people felt that his calls were maybe a little early, but it turns out if you look at his actions that he actually posts, it's probably not that big a position that he was buying and selling at that time. But I think in the more recent months, he's been much more active and much more willing to acquire more of a shareholding in these companies. All right. So he telegraphed all these things actually quite actively on his Sina Weibo as well as on Snowball Finance. But the two that I think that's more interesting recently is he initiated 2 positions and shared it with everybody. One is actually a position in Taiwan Semi, TSMC for short, where he decided to sell a put option that has expired in, I believe, January of 2026, that will allow him to acquire the shares at a substantial discount. So basically, he sells a put option, which is the right for someone to sell him the stock at a certain price, and he collects the premium from that. So he's basically using the current spot rate minus the premium to kind of judge what he will make during that time. And I think he said that he will earn roughly around 26%. If the deal goes through, he will buy it. He will obviously buy it at that price. And if he doesn't buy it, yeah, he can collect 26% return on his money for a little over less, that annualized over the same time period. So he thought that was a pretty good use of his money. The second one is actually on NVIDIA. He actually posted again, also on NVIDIA. He bought shares, and he also traded options, call options. So it's just a very bullish mode where he decided to buy the stock and decided to sell options surrounding stock as well, so that he can lower his costs, but at the same time kind of hedge his bets a little bit. But he initiated the position saying that at these prices, with the boom in AI, he doesn't think that it will stop. It will continue to grow, as well as TSMC, where he felt that they're basically at the forefront of development of these chips. So without them, you can't really develop any more chips, or there's no alternative right now. And as long as they continue to be at that forefront, TSMC will be the undisputed winner, regardless of whoever wins the AI fight. All right, so throughout the video, I've shared with you some of his posts, some of the screenshots that he posted of actions that he's making. And I think that he's really someone interesting to watch, especially someone that you can watch, kind of be with him to kind of answer some of the questions. You can also see how he thinks, and how he thinks of certain stocks as well. So if you're interested in him, I think check out the videos of his interviews. Follow him on the respective social medias, and also if you like him, want to discuss more, please feel free to add your comments in the video below.